Mom shaming is alive and well on the internet. No one is doing it all. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what you see. It's a lie. Even the people who are dancing around with their eyes half shut, you know, the ones that are like baking bread and they're like, their kids are fucking screaming. Okay? It's not just you. Welcome to Seriously Selfish. I'm your host, Amanda Talajan. Welcome back to Seriously Selfish. Today we're going to talk about the role that social media has on the modern mom. Modern mom is such a weird term, but the idea of a mom in today's day and age, okay? I personally love social media as a mom. I feel like it's been such a benefit, such a flex to be able to open an app and find what you need and be able to find other people who are potentially going through what you're going through. And I remember when I first became a mom, I was talking to my mom and I was like, how did you do this when all you had was books and a landline to call people and be like, what's going on? / your doctors. And she was like, we just figured it out. And so it kind of like, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially now in toddlerhood, because there's so many questions that I have on a daily basis, and I'm not in the phase where I'm freaking out as much as I was postpartum. I think that there are some things that I feel pretty confident, I say that lightly, about. There are also a lot of questions that I still have. So I find myself turning to social media a lot, and sometimes it is not giving me the result that I want. And so I felt that it was important to speak on this because I always think like if maybe I'm feeling this way, somebody else is too. Wow, I can literally only hear out of one of my ears. Did it pop? There are so many pros and cons to social media being part of our modern motherhood journey. And some of the cons to me are this idea of you can truly feel this sense of insecurity that everybody else has it together in all of these ways that you don't. And I used to get really angry at this representation of this perfect motherhood. And over time, I've kind of digested it because as for me as a creator, I do strive to have my life together, but at the same time, the reality is that it's just imperfect because such is life. And so sharing that like my honest journey is something I'm comfortable with. And so it's less about what's perfect and more about what people are comfortable sharing. But we cannot negate the toll that that takes on our mental health. And I think that it's really hard to ingest that kind of content when you are going through a struggle, because it is like a massive scale of feeling like all of these people have it together and I don't. And so I find this a con of social media today, and especially like mom influencers today, because if you imagine and like take it back, and this is something that helps me a lot, is like I take it back to what my mom was experiencing when she was a mom. All you really were comparing yourself to is moms at the park or moms at school or people you knew or family members. For us, we're constantly, whether we know it or not, or it's purposeful or not, we're constantly comparing ourselves in our motherhood journey to a global scale of people because we're seeing so many people all the time. And the damn algorithm is so smart that if you're a mom for 5 minutes, your whole FYP is literally now moms. And so you're seeing all these different people doing things different ways, good or bad, but different than you, which can evoke some sort of am I doing enough kind of mentality. And so I truly question how we can combat that. And I think that definitely being chronically online, especially when you're going through a new chapter of your life, is probably not the best thing, but it doesn't negate how much power there is in the information that we can still get from online. So it's kind of like, let's figure out the middle ground and come up with a solution today. Because I think I have one, but who knows? I will generalize and say that this is something that everybody experiences, which is the body dysmorphia that is postpartum. What is this body? Is it ever going to go back? I think it's not spoken about enough. The absolute mind fuck it is to 1 minute have a baby in a belly and then there's no baby in there, but the belly's still there. It's like such a weird thing to experience, and you just keep looking at yourself and you're like, so what? Like before I was pregnant and everybody thought I was cute, and now I'm just kind of like fat? I don't know. Like, what is this? What's going on? And then I feel like as you're getting bigger when you're pregnant, everyone's like, oh my God, healthy baby. That's amazing. Like the bigger you get, the more compliments you get. And then as soon as you have the baby, everyone's like, look, you're shrinking. And it's just kind of like so much for your mind to process at one time. So then like taking it to online, the body image issues that I think all women go through postpartum, to then seeing this like snapback culture is just so hard to digest. And I think it puts a pressure on everyone that is insane. I definitely got very obsessive about losing all of my baby weight because of work, but also because I had this like pressure on myself. I don't know if it came from online. I'm assuming it did, but I think it just like was an overall thing where I was like, I need to get myself back. And like my body felt like the one thing that I could kind of control. But there's like two options when you're freshly postpartum, and it's either like snapback culture or that 5-5, what is it? 5-5-5. So it's like 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, and then 5 days around the bed. So really taking it easy. So you're pretty much like have these 15 days where you don't do too much because it's said that you'll have an easier postpartum experience, that you really bond with the baby, that you take your time and all that kind of stuff, which I know that's not everybody's situation. Some people, their partner goes back to work much sooner than that, but just take it for what it is. This idea of these two polar opposites, you know? So snapback culture and then the 5-5-5 method, where you're really leaning into, I'm not responsible for anything but bonding, taking my time, and chilling out. I cannot tell you how many creators or how much information I've ever seen about the 5-5-5 method. I can name one video for every 10 snapback videos I've seen, and that to me is exactly the way it infiltrates into our mind. And so regardless of what is more beneficial, I would never say what's going to work for anybody or like say that this is right and that's wrong. I think everybody does what's best for them. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that an even representation of how to handle postpartum is not what is represented, specifically when it comes to our bodies and the expectation that society puts on our bodies. And when I say society, I mean the content that we are being pushed, because that is part of societal beliefs. Now you couple that with mom shaming, which is anything that you want to do, that you decide you're going to do. If you take to the internet, there's somebody who thinks it's the most disgusting, worst thing that you could ever possibly do, which I think is really interesting. Like when I chose to breastfeed Jazz, there were some people that were like, formula isn't good enough for you. And then when I stopped breastfeeding him because that was what was best for me, my mental health, oh my God, crazy. People were like, I can't believe you're giving up. And I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. I didn't know. And listen, okay, I understand. I was sharing. People can comment. Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, my ear is coming back. Thank God. This isn't about whether someone comments or not. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. It's more about the dichotomy of the comments. You're mad at someone, or you're judging, let's not say mad, you're judging someone for doing this, and then you're judging them for doing that. You cannot win, right? So mom shaming is alive and well on the internet. We know that. It's alive and well at the park. It's alive and well in real life. But the reality of someone coming up to you in person and being like, how old's that baby? Are they breastfed? I'm sorry, but that's probably not going to happen unless it's your like 75-year-old Aunt Sally who's just an asshole. No one's going to say that because no one fucking cares. But on the internet, it's like this overcompensation, I think, for other people's insecurities that they push onto you. With this feeling that you can never win and that there's always a bad side to every decision that you're making, comes this parental insecurity. And so you already don't know what you're doing. And then you couple that with people always telling you that what you're doing is wrong. It creates for you to have literally no intuition whatsoever. And I learned this in therapy. I mean, God, my therapist should pay me at this point because I talk about her so much. I think this was one of my early sessions when I started going right after postpartum. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like, this is wrong and that's wrong. But then people say this, but I've seen bad information about that. And she was like, hold on a second. What does your intuition tell you? And I was like, my intuition? I don't know. My intuition doesn't know anything. My intuition has never been a mom. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I have no feelings. I just feel bad, sad. Everything's wrong. I don't know where I'm going. And she was like, but that's the thing. Like, you have to find it. She was like, you weren't born being able to follow your intuition. You've been reborn and you need to follow your intuition now, and you need to find her and you need to listen to her. And you're not going to find her if you're listening to what everybody else is saying. And she was like, parenting is half education and half intuition. And you can't have the intuition part until you start to shut off all the noise and see what feels right. And I'm like, what feels right? My kid's gonna end up dead if I do what feels right because I don't know anything. And she's like, but you have to. You have to. Your first instinct, try to let it not be the phone, looking it up. She's like, think about it. And so a couple weeks like after that, Jazz was going through something and immediate reaction. I'm like, where's my phone? I need to look this up. Okay, teeth, eyes, and I'm like Googling. And then I was like, hold on, wait. What would he normally be doing? What do I see that seems off and wrong? What could I try? And this was like, I think when he was maybe getting teeth, but I still wasn't sure if it was teeth or if he was sick or whatever. And so I started trying stuff for teething. Long story short, it ended up being that it was teeth. And I felt so proud of myself that I was able to kind of calmly just try things without questioning, like, well, this person said this thing worked and that person said this and blah, 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 blah. I really made that decision based off my intuition, the pride I felt. And in retrospect, now I look back and I'm like, wow, how amazing that we really do hold the power inside of ourselves, but we are constantly pushing it down because we feel like we don't know what we're doing. I'm not saying I'm not a doctor. I think that books are so important. I think the internet is so important, but I think there is a huge misconception that our intuition is not valid enough. That's the weird thing about going through your motherhood journey and like growing up. I'm considering myself to be still like a baby because I feel like I was reborn, and it's like I'm learning all the lessons that I learned in adolescence. There's a term for it. It's matrescence, and it is exactly the same thing. And so I'm realizing that just as when it was just me, a singular person, I learned that if you go off of what everybody tells you and you follow what everybody says, you will never have a compass within and you will never be able to figure out who you really are. And the same goes for motherhood. If we only listen to what everybody tells us, we're never going to find the compass within. Ingesting all of these opinions leads to this absolute pressure to do it all. Because I have all of this information and now if I'm capable of doing it all. This person's doing it all, that person's doing it all, this person told me this and I'm seeing that. No. But the thing is, you can do it all. You can't do it all the time. And there's a huge difference of that. What you see in 3 minutes, you have no fucking clue. You have no idea. No one is doing it all. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what you see. It's a lie. And I'll give you an example. Last night I'm filming an evening vlog. Jazz literally was screaming 95% of the time. You think I'm going to show you that? No. That is what's going on. It's happening to everyone. Even the people who are dancing around with their eyes half shut, you know, the ones that are like baking bread and they're like, their kids are fucking screaming, okay? It's not just you. It's not real. I know we know this, but we have to know it. Otherwise, we are just going to drive ourselves fucking insane. And my last and final negative point on the internet is that I don't know how much I believe in defining yourself by a parenting style for everything, right? Like every feeding journey is different, every sleeping journey is different, every journey with every child is different, every birth is different. How could every parenting journey not be different? And so I'm learning this now because my son is 1.5 years, closer to 2. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually have to start like parenting him because shit's gonna go down if I don't. I mean, I'm kind of more pissed now than I've ever been because he tells me no. What the fuck? I mean, I didn't know that they start telling you no all of a sudden. But like, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I actually have to like parent him and like tell him stuff to like make him a good person. And so it led me down this rabbit hole recently of like parenting styles. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like now I have to decide what kind of parenting style I have or am. I don't know. I mean, gentle parenting seems nice, but I'm not really like a gentle person. But then like, can I say no if I'm a gentle parent? Because I do think that no is important. And like, I mean, I think hitting your kid is fucked up and wrong, and I don't want to hit my kid, but I do lose my temper sometimes. Like, is that okay? Like, you know, it's like all of these things where I'm like, how do I put myself in that box? And then I was like, don't. How about that? I don't know. My parenting style is I'm Jazz's mom, and I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to educate myself the best that I can. And I am going to also not do what's good for me. I'm going to do what's good for him. So maybe sometimes I need to tune into gentle parenting. Maybe sometimes I need to be more of an authoritative parent. Maybe sometimes I need to do this, do that, whatever. I know things that I will never do, but like, I've never done this before. So I need to take what will serve me, try things. If it doesn't work, try something else. But I don't need to put myself in that box. And I think that that leads me to my conclusion of all of this, which is social media is amazing for mothers, community, belonging, whether it's your infertility journey, your postpartum recovery, pregnancy, being able to fucking bitch about shit and have people be like, yes, that sucks. Or have a happy moment and cry and somebody be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations. Whatever it is, you can find so much belonging. I found belonging there. I found so much community there. But I think it, like with anything, it's a double-edged sword, because there is that side that evokes insecurity, uncertainty, comparison, and I just think that because we have such easy access to it, it's very hard to discipline ourselves to be able to use it properly when we feel insecure. And motherhood is nothing but a bunch of insecurities because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't care if you're a second-time mom or a fifth-time mom. There are things that you just don't know till you experience it. And so I challenge you that when you are going through something challenging or uncertain, to yes, use your resources, but do not forget that 50% of you being the best parent that you could possibly be is going to be listening to your intuition. She's not always going to be right, but she is guiding you to find the right answers. And we have to believe in ourselves. Why are you looking at me? Oh, I thought you were. Dimitri's always fucking looking at me. He's always looking at me and freaking me out. You need some sunglasses. You need sunglasses. I don't want to see your eyes. It's honestly like TM. So my final thoughts on this are that community can either work with you and build your life up, or it can dictate everything about your life. And it's the onus of responsibility is on us, okay? And so let's take it back to what we tell children, which is you need to know when to turn off. You need to know when to take breaks from social media. You need to know when content is not serving you. Like, I feel like for me, and I do this a lot where I get invested in kind of like these dramatic things, or like when someone's yelling at me online and I'm like, oh my God, because, you know, that goes back to a whole other issue that let's not get into. But I feel so comfortable when someone's screaming at me, this is what a good mom does, and this is what I do, and if you don't, you're stupid. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so stupid. We have to know what is serving us and what isn't, what is feeding into our best self, because we owe it to our children to be our best self, and we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to feel comfortable in our motherhood journey. And now I believe, I don't care what anybody says, I stand by this. I believe that the only way you can truly find the confidence in your journey of motherhood is by learning how to listen to your intuition. Learning how to listen to your intuition first and foremost, and then from there, seek information. But you have to know what you stand for. You have to know how you feel. You have to do what is best for you and your family. And no internet or book is ever going to tell you that. They are just tools to be able to help you along the way, because we don't know everything. But it's a very, very fine line. Being able to take those breaks, really curate a For You page that is encouraging and makes sense, and sometimes tells you the hard things that you need to hear, but also is inhabiting growth and really pushing you to be your best self, all does impact the way you live your actual life. And do not allow the uncertainty of a new chapter or a new experience, such as motherhood or anything that you're doing for the first time, create for you to go and look for someone to tell you what to do. You know what to do. You know what to do for yourself. You know what's best for you. It's a tool. And that's how I feel about it. And I also think that it's a tool for community. It's a tool for belonging. And if you are struggling with something and you feel alone, don't be afraid to share, because you could be the voice that somebody needs. And not necessarily that you have to go out there and make videos, but find communities that are going to be able to support you in whatever you're going through. When I get comments sometimes that are like, "You're my blueprint," and I'm like, no. I literally, once people DM me that, I'm like, no, you're your blueprint, but I support you on your journey. And if you need anything, let me know, because you're mistaking someone's confidence or availability in your life for them knowing what's best for you. And that's something that you have to know the difference of. Do you know what I mean? Because when someone's on your phone every day, it's like they're in your house, they're like with you. And I think a lot of the moms on my page, we went through pregnancy, postpartum, and now toddlerhood together. So it does feel like that friendship, but like, I'm not your blueprint. You're not my blueprint. You are your own. And we're just helping each other along the way. And I think like understanding that difference is what is going to create for us to be able to not feel these insecurities that clearly come from social media. And the only reason I'm speaking on this today is because I've experienced it. And recently, like with trying to decipher what kind of parent I am, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is actually so important to talk about. So I want to know if you've ever struggled with any of this, what you feel about the comparison online, what is something that makes you feel insecure maybe about being a mom a modern mom in today's day and age, and like having access to the internet, and also what are ways that it's helped you and guided you and made you feel so much more powerful in your motherhood journey, as well as have you found your intuition yet? I'm very curious about that too. So let me know in the comments. And as always, stay selfish because you deserve it. Bye.